Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. 4 stocks that I've recently bought that I'm just holding, not doing much with it, and kind of expecting good things happening to them. What are they, and what do I expect to happen? Well, this is the first one, ticker symbol GRAB, grab. What it did is this is a monthly chart, and it's been following a very, very beautiful pattern here, which is a reversal pattern of an ascending triangle. An ascending triangle has been broken above, and a lot of times when it already broke above of it, it can come back and back test it. It's a very well recognized pattern, and it is leaning bullish. Generally what happens after the back test, it has further bullish continuation. And you can see that pattern here very, very clearly on the monthly here. Now, what do we expect moving forward with this? I think what we would really like to see here is what exactly is it having a hard time breaking above? What is this resistance level here that we're seeing? Well, the way that we see that would be to look at any kind of potential Fibonacci levels that you are having a hard time breaking above. And this Fibonacci level that we're having a hard time breaking above right now is the 0.382. The 0.382 is currently strong resistance. So what do we expect from here? Why is it that people actually even pay attention to these numbers? Well, because algorithms, they actually pay attention to it. You can see a big, giant selling block right at that fib level. So it is not just me who pay attention to it. It's not just a bunch of charters who pay attention to it, but you can actually see that market makers also pay attention to these kinds of things. So because of a giant selling block here, we're having a hard time breaking through. But with that said, I do think that we are turning bullish here. You can see that the 20-month moving average has been flipped from negative sloping here to positive sloping, even got back tested here back in this big giant wick here in April. A lot of things have already been back tested, including bottom of the ascending triangle, including a rising 20-month moving average, which has served as a pretty decent support. You also have the Ichimoku Tenkan Nikijin, the blue and red line over here, that has really been flipped from resistance over here to support. And as this is happening, it continues to want to push price up higher. Right now, we have price currently underneath the Tenkan. We still have about 10 days, maybe like about a week of trading days, to figure out how we're going to close the month of June. If we end up closing the month of June above the Tenkan, which I think it would be because it's possibly sloping here, probably end up serving as support. And then we would probably end up pushing higher because of this positive sloping Tenkan over the next months to come. And the next level is probably going to be 0.5, which is going to be a confluent zone of the resistance of this immature Ichimoku cloud here. We call it the leading span A line over here. Is going to be some resistance up there above, right? That is kind of what I'm expecting to see. You're going to see that in the on the Bollinger Band here on the monthly, you had a big squeeze because things have done nothing. You had an expansion because things have gotten really squeezy here, and whenever you have squeezy here for too long, you end up having expandy, and the expansion ended up happening here with price really want to go higher but just wasn't able to because the Bollinger Band hasn't expanded fast enough, so you end up getting rejected at a very, very important fit level. Right now, the Bollinger Band, because of this recent volatility that happened, is expanding. Right now, it's probably going to end up allowing price to kind of go up higher to 0.5 that we were talking about after it's done consolidating sideways over here. And I think that it will be done consolidating sideways over here for the foreseeable future, probably by the by the next quarter is what I'm kind of expecting here. Now, you also can see that in addition to having the same triangle break out, you can also see that this is basically forming a little bit of a pattern here as it consolidates up here. As far as I'm concerned, this really looks like a continuation of an inverted head and shoulder pattern. A lot of people think that head and shoulder pattern should only really be a reversal pattern. Actually, people do see continuation pattern of this head and shoulder pattern all the time. And right now you got a little bit of inverted head and shoulder, so I think that you might have a little bit potential further downside here for the right shoulder before further bullish continuation. I think it's entirely possible. During the entire time, I think it's just backtesting Ichimoku cloud here, backtesting at the bottom over here, it's backtesting the top over here. So far, we haven't closing week inside the Ichimoku cloud, and that's okay. It might even go a little bit further. It would not surprise me at all if it goes to the bottom of the cloud here, finds the support before going up higher from there. But as far as I'm concerned, this will still look relatively like a bullish setup to me, especially on a higher time frame here. So because of that, I'm going to keep holding it and just kind of let it do its thing and see where it takes me over time. The second stock that I own is BlackBerry. I have built up a position during this downtrend over here. My cost average is probably somewhere around where the price is at right now, maybe a few percentage gain right here so far. I never really try to time things perfectly. That's not really my style. But you can see that so far, why am I interested in this stock? Well, there's one big reason is because the 20-month moving average has been flipped from resistance here to support with this big giant move up above, right? Everybody got really super euphoric back in February 2025. They think it's just going to keep going up a lot higher. I was like, no, you're probably going to get rejected right there because of 0.382 and because of the Bollinger Band is not expanding, it's contracting. You're going to get rejected here, probably going to come back and backtest the 20-month moving average. If it holds, then up we go, right? What happened after that? Got rejected over here. It came back down, backtested 20-month moving average, holding so far relatively. Got a decent, bullish engulfing light candle over here. Right now, the Bollinger Band is expanding. I think price probably have grounding up together with Bollinger Band expansion to re-challenge the 0.382 here again. I think this time because instead of contracting here, Bollinger Band is expanding. I think it's probably going to have enough momentum really push through the 0.382 to go up a lot higher over time. This is a pretty bullish setup to me because you're flipping a long-standing resistance here in the support, and this is doing it in such a systematic way that I think this will turn out to be, maybe this is wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3 is going to come. Wave 3 is probably going to be the longest and the most powerful wave. I don't know where that's going to be ended up at. If we end up pushing up, that might probably end up lasting for about a year or two, and it could be hitting any of these numbers up here in the teens. Depending on how it reacts to the teens, it can go up even a lot higher, but those are the kind of numbers I'm looking at. I think it's a pretty decent setup. In addition to the 20-month moving average, it is also trying to hold back and reclaim the monthly Tenkan in the Kitchen up here above. And I do think that eventually it's going to end up pushing back above the cloud or back inside the cloud, and it's going to challenge some of these things up here. The cycle probably will be, or at least wave 3 or maybe even wave 5, or the cycle would really truly probably end up getting really tired when price gets up to 0.76, which is the top of the Ichimoku cloud. But I think that it has a good chance to do that, but it'll probably need to battle over here. It probably won't happen maybe until maybe the end of 2026 or something like that is my guess. But that's a lot of gains potentially to be made. I'm just going to let it sit there and do nothing and just let it do its thing. The third stock that I have purchased recently that I'm not doing anything about is GME. GME has been chopping sideways here, extremely volatile yet boring stock, range bound. The top of the range is around 35, bottom range is around 20, 21, 22, somewhere around there. But the entire time is it just kind of also do nothing. You're frustrating everybody who owns this stock. What it did is really form a big giant volume shelf over here around $22, $23. And so far it's using that as a support level over here. And price is currently holding that level over here and doing just fine. Because of that, I do think that we are finding some really good support over here on the weekly time frame. Now I'm going to get rid of this here and also show you the monthly time frame in terms of why I remain to be bullish on this stock and will just remain patient here, is because it is still holding the 20-month moving average here just fine. You can see how it flipped it from resistance here to support, and it's been using support to wait for the upper Bollinger Band to expand here before going higher, because we're finding support here at the 20-month moving average, and because the 20-month moving average is rolling up here, I still think that there is going to be some further bullish continuation here, although it might take more time than people might expect, but this is still a relative bull trend because of the 20-month moving average upsloping and because it's holding it as support right now. Now, if you're asking me in terms of where I think price target is, I think that's just anybody's guess. I think that before we even consider that, we need to break back and convincingly hold back the 0.382 up here and also break about the 0.5, and then we can talk about potentially some of the other fit levels up here, even challenge the 0.618 over here during this big giant wick, but we just simply couldn't because we still have a lot of resistance up here above with the Ichimoku cloud, right? I think that as soon as price break above the 0.707 and the top of the Ichimoku cloud, and the 0.76 is not that far away from it, then this stock can really potentially make some all-time highs hit some of the levels up here above. But before it does that, there's still a lot of resistance up here that needs to be broken above, and it may not happen for another year. That's the reality of the stock, right? Anyway, the fourth one and the final one that I'm bullish on, that I have a position on, but it's a small position because it is very risky. The stock is called RCAT. Red Cat is the name. The reason why I'm bullish on here is because if I just take away everything, you can see the monthly here where it is pushed through the Ichimoku cloud. Initially it was resistance up here, pushed through the Ichimoku cloud and back tested the Ichimoku cloud here. You have flipped a resistance level into support, and it looks like it might be clear skies ahead because you're no longer having this cloud here as resistance. Even if you don't use any indicator here, if you just simply look at the formation, it looks like Adam and Eve double bottom over here. This is generally a very, very powerful double bottom kind of formation, and whenever it's done, usually it wants to have further bullish continuation. If you are looking at the line where the Adam and Eve is being drawn, basically this is the Adam, this is the Eve, this is the breakout, this is the backtest. The backtest is holding. And if you're holding the backtest, especially right at the 0.786, you really should have some further bullish continuation. Right now, price this month's been rejected here about at 0.886 here, but because we have formed a very nice double bottom with a backtest, I think price would end up pushing price up a lot higher over time. You can also see that if you look at the Bollinger Band here, it's got squeezed over here and expanded with this big giant parabolic move up here, but price simply got a little bit too far ahead itself, has come back down. Initially, how far is it going to go? Is it going to go to the 20-month moving average? Is it going to end up hitting the Ichimoku cloud? But eventually it turned out that it just wanted to kind of hold in between those two areas and is holding here just fine. Looks like it wants to eventually grind back up to the upper Bollinger Band here, but again is having resistance here. Also at the 10 indication over here too for the monthly. Regardless, nothing goes up in a straight line. I expect some further volatility here, but because this is extremely volatile stock, you're talking about price went from like $7 all the way down to like 54 cents, right? And you have a big giant bullish formation, and if this big giant bullish formation ends up working up, and it keeps on going up higher, some of these higher prices could potentially be met. And you're talking about, log fibs here. I mean, I think it's ridiculous to think of this stock go up to $100, but I also think that it's ridiculous to see the stock go all the way down to like 36 cents, all the way from $12 as well, right? Extremely volatile. I have some shares. I'm not that high committal to it because it's small cap and because it's extremely volatile. It can go up 10, 20% in a day with the blink of an eye. So this is one stock that I do own, and I'm just going to let it do its thing because I can handle the risk tolerance. But guys, be careful. This stock can go up and down 10, 12, 20% in a day, and is completely normal, and it doesn't really change the trend. The trend right now is bullish because it's been forming higher highs and higher lows. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye.